then moved in with my grandparents. Her sister also lived there too at the time. So I lived in a house with a bunch of cousins and my brother. My mom and dad shared custody of me, so every other weekend I would go to live with my dad, which was nice because I got to get away from a hectic house every now and then. My brother and I were 13 years apart, so we didn't really play a lot together growing up. He was going through his teen years, and it's kind of hard for a toddler to understand that. But the one thing he did have was this awesome Nintendo. I always remember bugging him to play it because it was the coolest thing to me. Of course, he would often tell me no, but my mom would let me sneak into his room to play it when he was out. If my brother's watching this, sorry. Of course, the best times with him were when he invited me to play, and we'd play together and try to see who could beat Super Mario first. Eventually, my other cousins in the house all got gaming consoles, and I was so interested. Of course, being the smaller one and the only young girl in the house, they weren't so keen on sharing their new toys, which eventually they did, but I never got to finish any game I played because someone was always saving over my file. Eventually, my mom moved back in with my dad for a period of time, and during that time was when I got my first ever gaming console. I remember the day so vividly too. My parents took me to Best Buy, and they didn't tell me why we were there. They just said they needed to get something, and then my dad suddenly covered my eyes and said, "Your mom and I have a surprise for you, daughter." They walked me a bit, and when my dad removed his hands from my eyes, I was standing in front of a Nintendo 64 case that had so many Nintendo 64s inside of it. I was so excited I started to cry. I remember getting it, bringing it home, and my parents hilariously arguing over how to install AVI cables, and then my mom doing a dance when she got lucky by mistake and figured it out. I'll never forget that day. Gaming makes a huge part of who I am. In elementary school, I made a lot of friends, and a lot of them were made by talking about video games. A lot of people would say I was too nice back then. In fact, I would give people my lunch money if they forgot theirs, and a lot of kids noticed this. They kind of took advantage of this fact, which sadly led to some bullying, and I guess because of that, I became introverted over time. But that didn't last too long as I kept making friends. In middle school, I became really introverted because around the events of September 11th, my dad pulled me out of school in order to be homeschooled, which was really kind of fun, but actually very lonely. Eventually, I went back into public school after a year, and around the time I was leaving middle school for high school, I got into online gaming. In fact, the first game I played online was on the PlayStation 2, and it was called Frequency. It was really just a glorified chat room.